Hello. I'm not a giant really, it's just me, Mr. Kiddle. This week we're looking at clothing. Let's go.
Okay, with Miss Snowcop, you've been learning about the smartest giant in town. Okay, and in the story, the giant has horrible drabby clothes and he gets a bit fed up and sad, so he puts on lots of smart clothes and he ends up giving them away to help lots of people, lots of animals, because he's really kind. Okay, and he's not just the smartest giant in town, he's the kindest giant in town. This week, I thought we'd look at clothes. Okay, clothes come in all shapes and sizes, colours, materials. Materials is what they're made from. Have a look on this picture. See if you can spot anything you're wearing now. I can spot a jumper. I'm wearing a jumper. I've got a t-shirt on, some jeans, some trousers. Okay, and clothes we wear to keep ourselves warm. We use them to keep ourselves cool. So we put shorts and t-shirt on if it's really hot, and we put big coats on when it's cold. Okay, and what we're going to look at today is this. Now in the story, the giraffe wants a scarf for his neck because he's got a really cold neck. Now the giant doesn't have a scarf, he gives him his tie. But scarves do keep us warm, especially when the weather's cool like this in the snow. So here we've got some mittens, so a hat and a scarf. Do you know what those scarves are made from? And those hats and those mittens? Have a think. They're made from something called wool. Okay. Now, clothes are made from all different types of things, but wool is something that comes from this. What's this? It's a sheep. And the sheep's fleece, which is what's covering its back and its body, is wool. And it's turned into wool, which is then turned into lots of different clothes, like this. We have woolly hats, woolly scarves, woolly mittens, woolly jumpers. Okay. I think there's a joke about a kangaroo and a sheep, but that's a woolly jumper. Can't think of it that well. So what I've got for you is a really nice video, a film for you to watch. Okay, your task this week, after you watch the film, is to find as many bits of clothing in your house that's made of wool. Okay, and you can tell it's made of wool because they have labels inside them. All clothes have labels like this, and this tells you what things are made from. And if you see one that has this word on the screen, wool, that means it's made from wool. And what I want you to do is have a bit of a game with this. Get all your clothes that are made of wool. It can be your mums and dads, your aunties, whoever looks after you at home, if they've got things made from wool, and put them all on. Put as many on as you can, and then take a really silly picture of yourself in your wool clothes. It's like a wool treasure hunt. Okay? Have fun with that. Enjoy the film. See you Wednesday for another curriculum lesson. Stay safe as always. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, children. Where have you been?
Hello, Kira's cat. We've just came back from playtime.
Oh, you must be very cold out there if you have those woolly scarves on.
Yes, it was cold out there, but the scarves kept us nice and warm.
Woolly scarves are great for cold days. But have you ever wondered how your scarves were made?
Doesn't wool come from sheep?
Yeah, that's right. It all starts with sheep. Look at all these sheep. A lot of the sheep have long woolly coats. These are called fleeces. Once a year, the sheep need their woolly coats clipped off. This is called shearing. It's a bit like having your hair cut. It doesn't hurt the sheep. The sheep's wool has grown very long and thick, too hot for summer. The sheep's fleece is sheared very close to the sheep's skin, so it all comes off in one piece. It doesn't hurt, and the wool grows again to keep the sheep warm in winter. When the sheep have been sheared, the fleeces are packed, ready to be sent away. To find out what happens next, you'll have to go to the wool mill where James will show you round. Off you go!
So this is where the fleeces have come from the farm, at this table, and this is where Pete does the sorting. And so he basically sorts it into all the different types of wool.
Why do you do this?
Why do we do this?
Yeah.
Well, they do this because different wools are used for different things. There's wools are used for carpets, for rugs, scarves. Different types of wool will give you a different effect, and it will give you a different finished product. Would you like to help with the sorting?
Okay. Yeah.
What I do is when I'm pulling this, that's called a staple, and I'm pulling it to test how long it is and the strength. If it's a strong one, it'll go in a better grade. And this one, this will be really strong.
I've done it. I've done one.
Yeah.
Sorting the wool is a very important job. Make sure you're listening.
That one was easy. Oh, look at that one.
That one's soft.
Oh.
That's like cotton wool, isn't
That's
it?
the easy one. This is
That's a
really
wool
easy
and
to
that's a
pull
Suffolk.
apart.
That get used for your clothes, knitwear, because it's so
That's the
soft.
easy one.
You like the feel of that one?
Yeah.
That's better, isn't it?
Come on, girls, there's a lot more to see. Let's get a move on.
So these are the fleeces that have been sorted. This is going into carpets. This is a lot softer and will go into clothing of all different sorts.
Why is it shiny?
Just like your hair, there are different colours, there are different shines, different textures. Exactly the same with sheep.
And why do they shave the sheep? They could just leave it on the sheep.
For the health of the animal, you have to shear the wool. So it has to be sheared off the sheep for its well-being.
Sheep are sheared in the spring so they can stay nice and cool in the summer. The wool has now been sorted and is ready to be washed and cleaned. This is called scouring.
So, what we have here is where we've just come from, where you saw the wool being sorted. Yes, this is all the wool.
Yeah?
So it's all coming into here and then it goes off down this line to be washed. So we'll walk down the line and we'll show you at which stages it's washed.
Let's go!
Come on then. In here, what you've got is all the grease and all the dirt is washed out in this bowl here. So it's squeezed here with rollers. It goes up to the next bath.
It's very hot in here.
It is very hot in here.
It's sweating.
Now this bath here, this is where we add soap. So there's lots of soap in that bath. So it's washing all the wool and it washes all the sweat and everything else out of the wool in this bath. So this has got soap in it. And again, squeezed and it comes onto the next bath where it's rinsed, which is what you do when you've washed your hair, you rinse it, you rinse the soap out. And then the last thing after that, it's been rinsed and then it goes off to the dryer. At the far end, the wool is then dried.
This is where the washed wool comes to be dried. It looks like the biggest hairdryer ever.
The wool you see here is the wool that has come from the drying that we saw earlier. It's now put on this conveyor belt here and it goes through the conveyor belt and into the carding machines, which are basically very big drums with metal wire on them that are moving at very high speed. And what they do is to take all the rubbish out of the wool. So this is what comes out. So you have straw, you've got grass, you've got seeds. There's all sorts in there that we need to take out so it doesn't get into the finished product. Now, how they used to do carding in the old days, these have got wire on them. So what they do is you would put the wool on and you'd put one on top of the other and you'd pull them apart. And this is how they used to do it going back many years, which is a very long process. Now, obviously, there is so much wool, we have to do it by big machines.
It's a good job they invented these machines then.
It is indeed.
I feel like diving in it.
I know.
It was all dirty before. Now it's just really clean and little bunches. I really feel like diving in it and swimming.
The wool has now been washed, dried and carded. James has taken the girls to the spinners to see how it's turned into long strings of twisted wool, known as yarn.
Shall we see it running?
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn the machine on.
These machines stretch the wool to make it thinner, and then they twist the wool to make it into yarn, ready for knitting.
So this is the wool that you've seen being spun and twisted, and now what I'm going to do is show you the technique for finger knitting, which you can then do and make your scarf from, okay? And then you put the yarn between those fingers and then back, round, and you go round your pinky finger, and you go back under, over, under, all the way around.
I started to knit a scarf.
Yeah, you started. You go under, over, round your pinky, back under, over.
Oh, I guess.
That comes up and over, up and over.
It's very easy when you know how to.
It is very easy when you know how. There you go.
That's actually really good.
So now you've seen how the wool goes from the sheep's back to a finished woolly scarf. And you put it round your head like that.
Hello, children. How was your journey?
Look what we've made.
Wow, they look amazing. Did you find out what happens to the wool once it's been sheared?
We went to where they sorted the fleeces out. First, the wool from the farms are sorted into groups and then sent to be washed and cleaned. The washed wool is dried in these big drying machines. It is then combed to get the rubbish out. The wool is then sent to the spinners, who stretch and twist the wool, and they turn it into yarn, which is what we use for our finger knitting.
That's great! Those scarves will keep you nice and warm through winter. But now it's time to say goodbye.
Bye!
Goodbye, children!
And that's all, folks.